So let's talk about something I think a lot of us feel, that sense, that deep, meaningful connection. It just feels so hard sometimes, right? Almost out of reach. We're going to dive into why that might not be a flaw at all, but actually a sign of your strength. You know this feeling, don't you? You're at a party, there's noise, people are laughing, but inside it's just quiet. You feel like you're watching a movie of your own life, separated by this invisible wall. It's so draining, and it almost always leads us to ask ourselves one really tough question. Yeah, this is what we start telling ourselves, isn't it? Am I broken? Am I just antisocial? We start thinking something's got to be fundamentally wrong with us. I mean, why can't we just enjoy a party like everyone else? You feel that guilt for wanting to sneak out early, for just craving some quiet. But here's the thing. What if I told you that all of that, it's not a defect? In fact, there's a ton of research, like over 50 studies from places like Harvard and Stanford, that suggest this whole struggle is tied to some really specific psychological traits. And the big takeaway is this: you're not broken. You're just wired differently. All right, so let's dive in. We're going to break down 5 of these key traits that can make that surface level stuff feel almost impossible. And as we go, I want you to just see which ones click for you, because honestly, just understanding them can completely reframe this whole experience. Okay, first up, this one is called deep processing, and it really gets to the heart of why your brain can feel so fried after social events. It's not a bug, it's a feature, and it changes everything about how you experience the world. Okay, you know this feeling. You've spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out the tone of a one-sentence text message, or you've replayed a conversation in your head for days, right? Well, most people are just talking. Your brain is running a full-on analysis, checking tone, reading microexpressions, running through a dozen potential outcomes. It's not just a chat. It's like your brain is playing a game of social chess in the background. And this, right here, is the big reframe. That thing you've been beating yourself up for your whole life, calling it overthinking. It's actually a real cognitive trait. It's deep processing. It's not a flaw you need to fix. It's just how your brain works. And this isn't just some nice idea either. We can literally see it happening. Brain imaging studies show that for people with this trait, their brains are just more active during social interactions. You're processing way more information, noticing more details, which of course is why even simple small talk can feel like you've just run a mental marathon. All right, that leads us perfectly into our second trait. This one is all about quality over quantity. And it explains why your friend group might not look like everyone else's, and why that's probably a really good thing. You know, we get this message all the time, right? Be more outgoing. Have tons of friends. And if you don't, you get slapped with the antisocial label. But the reality? It's not that at all. You're not antisocial. You're selective. You're hardwired to look for something deeper than just another acquaintance. And the science on this is crystal clear. The Harvard Grant study, this thing ran for 75 years, found something incredible. The single biggest predictor of a happy, long life, it wasn't money, it wasn't fame, it was the depth of your relationships. It was knowing you have people who truly have your back. And get this, a researcher named Jeff Hall figured out that it takes, on average, 200 hours of real quality time to turn an acquaintance into a close friend. 200. That is a massive investment of time and energy. So of course you can't have dozens of those kinds of bonds. You're not failing at friendship, you're just being smart with your resources. Okay, so this brings us to our third trait, heightened sensitivity. This really explains why those 200 hours can feel so much more intense for some of us. Think of it like this. You're just experiencing the world in Ultra HD. Yeah, research by Dr. Elaine Aron shows that about 20% of the population falls into this category of highly sensitive people. So you're definitely not alone, but it is a minority experience. It just means your nervous system is, more finely tuned to all the little subtleties around you. I love this metaphor because it just makes so much sense. It's like most people experience the world emotionally in standard definition. It's fine, it works, but you're experiencing it all in ultra high def. You see every flicker of emotion, you hear every subtle shift in tone. It's incredible, it's vivid, but man, can it be overwhelming. And let's get one thing straight. This is not a weakness. Think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. For our ancestors, being the one who noticed the tiny rustle in the grass, that was a survival skill. So you're not too sensitive, you're highly attuned. And that's a gift, but it's a powerful one that needs to be managed. which means, yeah, you're going to need more downtime.
So, experiencing the world that intensely naturally leads to our final two traits, which are honestly so often misunderstood. See, when you take in that much information, you have to develop some pretty powerful ways to manage it all. And these are strengths, but to the outside world, they can sometimes look like you're being cold or distant.
So let's break them down. First, there's what we'll call emotional self-sufficiency. This just means you generate your own stability. You don't really need a ton of external validation to feel okay. And the second one is earned discernment. This is basically your built-in pattern recognition, learned from past experiences, that tells you who's safe and who isn't. And this is where people can get it so wrong. Your self-sufficiency, they might see it as cold or arrogant, but the reality is, you're just whole on your own. You aren't operating from a place of neediness. And that discerning nature, maybe from past trust wounds, that's not being paranoid, that's data. That's your brain using past experiences to protect you. You're not damaged, you're just incredibly discerning. Okay, but this is where we need to get real for a second. We have to be honest with ourselves, because all of these amazing traits, deep processing, selectivity, sensitivity, they can also be used as a shield. And there's a really, really fine line here that we have to look at. And this is really the core question, isn't it? Are you protecting your energy, or are you just avoiding the vulnerability that real connection demands? There's a huge difference between choosing solitude to recharge and hiding in solitude because you're afraid to get hurt. So just for a second, really ask yourself, are your walls protecting you, or are they trapping you? All right, that brings us to our final and maybe the most important reframe of all. After learning all this, it really just comes down to one thing: giving yourself permission to just be you. Let's say it one more time. You are not broken. You are not cold or antisocial or too much. You are a person who is wired for depth in a world that often rewards the surface. Your way of being isn't wrong. It's just rare.
So here it is. This is your official permission slip. You don't have to force friendships that feel draining. You don't have to pretend to enjoy small talk. You never have to apologize for needing time to yourself. Your energy is precious, so invest it wisely. Because the right people, the ones who are willing to meet you in the deep end, they're so worth the wait.